Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, the history of talk radio. Political opinions have been a staple of radio since the early 1920s. Talk radio as a listener participation format has existed since at least the mid-1940s. WMCA New York's Barry Gray was bored with playing music and put a telephone receiver up to his microphone to talk with band leader Woody Herman. This was soon followed by listener call-ins. In 1948, disc jockey Alan Courtney began a call-in program on WGBS Miami. The Alan Courtney Open Phone Forum was a conservative and anti-communist political forum with coverage area over the southeast United States and Cuba. In the 50s, Joe Pine, John Neville, and Gene Shepard were among the first to explore the medium. In recent years, talk radio has gained popularity with many new formats flourishing, including all sports in 1986 with the birth of WFAN New York. The subject matter for these formats are different, but the structure has remained the same for all these years. You might say talk radio is a 20th century format, until now that is. It's 2014. And radio pioneer and innovator Alex Bennett introduces the Citizen Panel on GabNet, the first revolutionary idea in the format since its inception. The Citizen Panel allows for an open discussion to take place between the host and many listeners all at the same time. Listeners claim that it's addictive, producing stimulating discussions on any topic from politics to movies and entertainment. It's not liberal or conservative. It's open to all opinions and ideas. Log on to gabnet.net to listen and find out how you can participate. Listen to the programs on GabNet and take a step into 21st century talk radio.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of the Ramble, heard here and seen here on GabNet, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GabNet laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality, but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live. And you're there. The player is waiting and you do nothing. And when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
This is the part where we sing. Hey! Well, no picture of me yet because we'll have that in about 25 minutes from right now when we talk with our citizens panel. When we talk to our citizens panel, but right now let's talk to a person we like to check in with every now and then. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from California, California is the lovely and attractive Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, Lawrence.
The very cold Larry Bubbles Brown.
What do you mean the
very... As it is summer here, so...
Oh, what's the temperature?
It feels like 55.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's 78 here and feels like 90. So, yeah, so it's one of those days here in New York City. But what the hell? I wish I were back in San Francisco with the fog. But I just, you know what I saw last night? I saw Anthony Bourdain. I've been watching a lot of his old shows because he was really good. And he was doing San Francisco. And his whole complaint was about Yahoo and all those people invading the city and ruining it. Taking away its flavor and its spirit, you know? He was in an old restaurant, and they said, we don't know how long this one's going to last because, the Yahoo crowd doesn't want to come here, you know? And it was like one of those old, down by the pier, one of those, I can't remember the name of it. It was something's been there ever since I was a kid, I think, you know? So, I mean, it's not, in a way, I'd love to go home. In a way, I'm afraid to.
I think you'd be horrified when you see how much it's changed, but.
You know,
I say, change is great. I hate it.
Well, I mean, change is great when you're changing things, technologically, when you're changing things in a lot of different ways. But aesthetically, change is not good. Like, the first time I ever saw that change go on was when I was horrified. I came home back in 1979. And I came back home to work in San Francisco. And one of the towns I grew up in over in Marin County, and one of my favorite towns was Mill Valley because it was very quaint. You know, and it had its own feel about it. In fact, do you know the Mill Valley is the city which Invasion of the Body Snatchers was based?
Oh, really?
The guy who wrote the book lived in Mill Valley, so he kind of based the city that it takes place in Mill Valley.
Okay.
And anyway, I just love that town. And when I went back, all of a sudden, it's like people from the Midwest came out and invaded it, and they decided to make it their home. And they put gingerbread fronts on everything. They made it too cutesy poo. You know what I'm talking about? That kind of cutesy atmosphere you have there. So you probably don't remember the difference because you came out about that time, I would imagine.
Yeah, but now it's been now all rich people are moving in there. They're tearing down the little houses and they're putting up these giant McMansions. So it's
really? Even worse than it was because in the old days, in the old
79 would look great now compared to what.
Well, the old days, the old woodland kind of home was the thing in Mill Valley that you went for. You know, there were lots of termites. You know, and there was lots of dampness and lots. I remember waking up one morning in San Anselmo with it was Mill Valley. Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm trying to think. Hold on a second. Where was it? Was it Mill Valley? It was almost near Mill Valley. Where were we living? We were living up on the hill it was Mill Valley. And I woke up one morning and there was a scorpion under my pillow.
Wow.
That's how rugged the area was. And that might have not happened there, might have happened in San Anselmo, but nevertheless, Marin County was a rather woodland kind of place, and the homes were built on hills and nestled into the hills. I dread to go home and see what it's changed into, you know.
That'd be great if you came back. You could go to your old house, see what it looked like.
You mean my old apartment house?
Yeah.
I can see it on Google. You go to Google Maps, I can see it. See what it looks like right now. It looks the same. That hasn't really. A lot of those things haven't. The marina hasn't changed that much, has it?
No. It's actually there's a lot of cool places in Marin. It's always been, I think, fairly wealthy up there. But
yeah. But I mean, I kind of dread it, you know. And I was back there. When was I back there last? Jeez, I don't know. It was maybe 2000. When did I go back to get my Bay Area Hall of Fame induction? I think that's the last time.
That was 08.
Yeah, '08. Then I haven't been back in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine in 10 years a lot changes. I mean, you think a lot changes. You have to assume a lot changes. But then you go back and you go, look, everything's changed. Well, what do you expect in 10 years? I remember taking my mother back to the, she was born in the Bronx. And so she said, I want to see my old neighborhood. So we went up to our old neighborhood, and by this time the Bronx had become kind of like Dresden. It was like a burnt-out hulk of an area. I mean, it was just terrible. It was just ghastly with gangs and filth and everything. So I drove her back there, and she said, what happened in my neighborhood? I said, Mom, you're 90 years old. A lot changes in 90 years, Mom.
90 years.
Maybe she was 80 years, but it was enough that, you know. So I guess I would do the same thing. I would go back and say, what's happened? But it's been 10 years, you know, and 10 years is a lot of time in the life of the cultural angst of a city and whatever. New York isn't the same today. I look out at this skyline from my apartment, which is a lovely skyline, but they built these pencil thin buildings and stuff, and it's slowly the Manhattan skyline that we were so used to, you know, in the 40s movies and the 50s movies is gone, just gone, and it's been replaced by all these modern buildings that some of them are nice and some of them are just absolutely ghastly. There's one my wife hates. I call it the pencil building. It looks like a pencil. It's just that thin, going straight up into the air.
Yeah, I've seen there's a bunch of those in New York. I don't know what the appeal of those is.
Well, I don't know. I think they're taller than the Empire State Building, if I'm not mistaken. One of them is very tall. And I think Beyonce bought the penthouse or something. Yeah. But she can afford it. I can't.
Yeah.
So. I don't know that. What?
I never saw Anthony Bourdain. I never saw one show, so I don't know what he did. But everyone seemed to be very upset about it.
Well, excuse me. I think he was very upset about it because, number one, he was good at what he did. Okay, he went into places and romanticized them, or didn't romanticize them. I watched one last night he did on Sicily. And he keeps talking about it, how every time he goes back to Sicily, what a disappointment it is. You know, he said, the worst show I ever did was in Sicily, so I'm coming back to do a good one. And he comes back to do a good one, and there are people like, he's going down to, like, catch octopus for dinner, and some guy in a boat is throwing dead octopus into the water so he can catch it, and that got him really depressed. And then they take him to a place where you can eat horse. They serve horse, and they're grilling it and everything. And he's tasting, and it doesn't taste bad, but you can tell he really isn't enjoying it. You know.
Yeah.
So he was very honest about the places he went, and it was part travelogue, but very honest and warts and all travelogue of places. And also a thing about eating in these places and what they serve and the local cuisine. And he would do Uruguay one day, and the next week he'd be in the Bronx, you know. And the one I saw last night, the beginning of, was in San Francisco. And he was complaining about the fact that, you know, the minute Yahoo and those companies decide to move up from Silicon Valley into San Francisco is when it all ended for that city.
Yeah, that was the end.
Yeah, and I mean, it is pretty terrible. It is pretty terrible from what I hear. I mean, you live there.
Yeah.
In a
rent control, but
yeah.
It's always interesting when you see successful people commit suicide.
Well, yeah. You wonder why they did, but success is no guarantee of happiness. You know? And there are demons. Like, I would commit suicide if I weren't such a fucking coward.
That to me was always the big stopping point. It was a little scary.
Yeah. I'm a big coward, and I somebody once said suicide is an acceptable form of self-defense. I suppose that if I weren't so afraid of dying, I would kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do I got to live for? I'm 78. There's nothing to look forward to. My feet are numb. I have to go see a neurologist. You know, I have aches and pains I never had before, and I can't do my life's work, which is doing a radio show somewhere. So what do I have to live for?
Yeah.
But I don't have the nerve to kill myself.
Well, there's I've heard could be a connection to the suicides and antidepressants.
Well, I've taken antidepressants, and I never considered suicide.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I've always considered suicide. You know, that's one of the options I think everybody has in some way. I'm sure you have, you know. But you probably won't do it for the same reason I won't do it. You're too big a coward. You're too big a coward, you know.
Right.
Anthony Bourdain, on the other hand, wasn't a coward. He was a man's man, and he did all the, you know, the rough and tumble things a guy does, you know. So to him, I suppose, I mean, see, I feel, he and Kate Spade pissed me off, actually, their deaths, because they were selfish deaths, because they both had children aged 11 and 13.
Yeah, that's bad.
How do you do that to your children? How selfish are you that you say life is so disgusting? I'm going to. Oh, and then Kate Spade wrote a death. She wrote a note, right? You know what the note read?
Yeah, that one I couldn't believe that.
It was to her daughter, and she said, "It's not your fault. Ask Daddy."
Yeah, ask Daddy.
You know,
what a mind fuck that is.
Yeah, what a mind fuck. She's got to live with that for the rest of her goddamn fucking life. That's pathetic. It's horrible. It's terrible. You know, but what are you going to do? So, you know, that's you know, that's what they did, and I think it was terrible. And Kate Spade, the same. You know, she was terrible. And then Bourdain, I think the kid was it was maybe 13 or something, and you know, I mean. Just the knowledge that your dad committed suicide, you know, is enough. So I mean, yeah. I in my own case, I have no kids to leave behind, nobody important. My wife has often said, "Why don't we say that if we aren't dead by the time you're 83, we'll commit suicide?" And I went, "Yeah, but I don't trust you." You know, if I'm going to commit suicide, I want you to pull the trigger first. You know, I want you to jump out of the building first, because I want to know you've done it before I do it. But then again, once you kill yourself, I'll probably have something to live for. So, you know. So I can't guarantee it. I mean, I never knew Eva Braun, most trusting woman in the world, she went first. You know, how does she know? She never knew whether Hitler killed himself.
Oh, she did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she went first. Yeah. She went by. She took poison, I think. And did she use a gun as well? I can't remember. He used a gun. Blew his brains out.
Yeah.
You know. But hey, we would have blown his brains out if we found him. So you know. He had no other choice. He made his bed. He laid in it.
Yeah.
But and then there are this is a subject you and I love, right? Suicide. It's you're an expert on it. I mean, on people who committed suicide. What's your favorite suicide?
Well, I always thought the Golden Gate Bridge is kind of romantic, but.
Yeah, but I mean, what is your favorite person who committed suicide, and the way in which? Well,
it's very. Do you remember Drake Sather?
Oh, really?
The writer?
Yeah. He was a comedian.
Supposedly, he left notes all over for the police because he used a gun. He said, "You're gonna find some brain spatter over here." And he left these little notes like that all over the apartment.
I don't remember him committing suicide, but why did he commit suicide? If he left enough notes, there must be a clue.
Trouble with the ex-wife, and there may have been some drugs, and again, a highly successful person.
Well, my question is, why would you commit? I would not commit suicide over a woman. I'm sorry. it's not worth it.
No.
You know, it was suggested that might have been maybe the motivation in Bourdain's death, but they say that he and Asia Argento, which was his girlfriend, they were broken up, but they had a loose relationship, so they were still in contact and still friends and still talking. So they just say he was highly depressive and always thought about suicide and managed to walk away from the abyss many times. So, my favorite of all time, favorite suicide note was George Sanders. Remember the actor George Sanders?
Oh, that was a great one, yeah.
Yeah. His suicide note read, "I'm bored."
I'm so bored.
He killed himself because he was bored. Now, that to me is a good reason.
You can't argue with that.
You can't argue with it. So you were bored. Yeah, I'm bored. Okay, kill yourself. Not a bad idea. So anyway, any other people you know committed suicide? You know,
There's I don't think anyone tops that note. No. So Bourdain didn't leave a good note.
No, I don't think there was one. At least there wasn't news that there was one. But you know, I mean, I just don't. I'm just so afraid of death. I don't know if you have that same fear.
I've been horribly afraid.
Yeah. I mean, and as I get, I'm 78, and I just had my yearly checkup, and I told my doctor, I said, you know, these yearly checkups every year terrorize me, and he said, why? And I said, because I just, you know, when you get to my age, you don't know what it is going to get you. You know, and I just imagine coming in here, you know, and you taking a test and then calling me up and saying, something showed up in your tests.
Right.
And then it begins, you know. But I'm a hypochondriac. I've always complained about my health, and I'm probably in, knock on wood, better health than a lot of people I know, you know. So you're in good health, aren't you?
Yeah, but like you said, as you get older, you just start to get all kind of pains and crap.
No, well, you know, Betty Davis said it. I'll say it again. Getting old ain't for sissies, you know. And I'm here to tell you that. I mean, I have aches and pains. It's now every time I get up from a chair, there's that that sound that comes out of me. That goes, you know. I try not to do it, but occasionally, without my even preventing it, it goes like, oh boy, oh, you know. And then, you know, like a torn meniscus in the knee and a little arthritis in the hand. I mean, this is all niggling stuff, folks. My ex-wife, Ronnie, had pancreatic cancer, for Christ's sake. You know, and I'm sitting here complaining about my arthritis and my torn meniscus. You know, so, you know, she really had to go. And she's 100% cured. Not cured. They don't say that.
Oh, she really beat the odds on that.
Oh, God, did she ever. She beat the odds in that she could have an operation where they could save her life, okay, called the Whipple procedure.
The Whipple, I've heard of that.
Yes, and it is so drastic in what it does and how it works and so on. It is so drastic that the chances of survival from the Whipple are minor. And here she is a year later, Whipple surgery behind her, and they gave her a clean bill of health saying that we can't find cancer anywhere in your body.
That's great.
Now, that doesn't mean it isn't going to come back, but the fact is that right now she's beaten amazing odds. I mean, that's what Steve Jobs died of, folks. I mean, you know.
Yeah, and it usually kills you pretty quickly.
And he was doing things like replacing body parts and everything trying to survive the disease, and he didn't. But she looks healthy and stuff, you know. So she beat the odds. But it's a question of what's going to get you, you know. So I haven't got my blood work back yet, but he could come back and say there is something wrong with this blood work. Your blood is ink, or you know, whatever.
Ink? You're a squid.
I mean, you're slowly turning into a squid, and eventually you'll become calamari and die.
on Anthony Bourdain's plate.
Yeah, right. So I just, I'm just waiting for the bad news. So I'm still waiting for the blood work to get back and my PSA to be 2,000 and shit like that, And probably it'll come back and I'll probably be okay. And, he checked me out and he said, told him what was wrong, and I told him about my numb feet. And so he gave me here was the thing. Gave me the name of a neurologist, saying that that it's a neurological thing and you just got to have medicine for it that'll stop the numbness and mitigate the problem. He said it's nerves in your back, being compressed and things like that as you get older. He said, so I'll send you over there. I said, I'm afraid to go there because he's going to throw me in an MRI machine, and I will not go into an MRI. I have just this almost morbid fear of enclosed spaces.
No, those are horrible.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to tell whatever doctor I have, you got to find some other way to diagnose this than an MRI. For some people, it's just really easy. They go in there, zap, you take a look, you see if you can do a CT on me. Fine, I can stand CTs. They're open up enough. If you can find an MRI that I can get, I'll be happy to do it. And he said he probably wouldn't even have you do an MRI. He said he'd probably just, So I called this one. It was a woman. And I got an appointment, and the appointment was August 2nd. Right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going, okay, fine. Boy, it's a long time to go see a doctor. So I started looking her up and these were doctors that were given to me by my doctor. I looked her up, and I looked at the reviews, and they weren't that great, for that doctor, but they were better for this other doctor. So I called the other doctor, and I said, when can you see me? You can see me a month earlier. You can see me in about 3 weeks from now. So I'm going to go see a neurologist. Gee, I can add that to my pantheon of doctors now. I have a gastroenterologist, I have a urologist, I have a neurologist, and I have a my heart is taken care of by my main doctor, who is a cardiologist.
That's quite a team of specialists.
Well, it all gets very mixed up because I was talking to a girlfriend about my urologist, and then I talked about going to my neurologist, and she said, aren't you already seeing one? And I said, no, that's a urologist. You got to put an N at the beginning of it. So now I've got enough people now that if they all want to scope me at the same time, they could probably see each other. One goes down my throat, one goes up my ass, one goes in my penis.
In one visit.
Yeah, all in one visit, and then they can all look at each other. Hey, I see you too. And they don't put you out for any of these procedures. That's the other problem. You would think they would put you out.
Yeah, that's
the worst one was the scope up the penis. Didn't put me out for that.
Ooh, that's painful.
It's uncomfortable. It's not painful. It's uncomfortable, and what's even more uncomfortable is when you see the device they're going to use and it's sitting on a table like a giant boa constrictor.
Oh, God.
They have it covered up a little bit with a tarp so you don't see it, but you see the and then finally bring this thing out and they stick it in your penis and they look around your bladder. And the guy says,
what are they looking for?
I don't know, gold. I said, if you find anything valuable in there, let me know and don't take it out. But anyway, hey, we've run out of time.
Yes, with our ailments.
No, we're talking about people with suicide and illness. Folks, it's always a happy...
Always uplifting.
Always an uplifting, happy time when we talk to the likes of Larry Bubbles Brown. Thank you very much, Larry.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is Gabby, the Great American Broadcast Network.
And there was Larry. We love Larry. Everybody loves Larry. Hell, everybody, there should be a show. Everybody loves Larry. Wait a minute, we had Everybody Loves Raymond. Well, everybody loves Larry. Everybody does. That's why when I heard that Hunter Thompson had heckled him years ago, I was very upset by that. In fact, one time I think I had the ability to book Hunter Thompson on my show, and I said, fuck him. I don't want him on my show. Anyway, let me turn off the music here thing, and let me bring up the Skype. Or no, wait a minute. Where's the Skype? Come on, give me the Skype thing. Come on, guys. There we go. And I turned on the Skype. I don't know if anybody's going to call tonight. Patrick can't call because he's going to watch The Last Jedi, I think. I think that was the movie he was going to go see with his friends at their house, okay? And Phil has his photo meeting tonight. And actually, I got a piece of one of the notifications here, or a letter I got was, I wish Phil were on the show tonight because I get to hear him eat crow, which is a possibility. Anyway, hey, look, we do have always, whenever he hears that Phil isn't on and I might be alone, Tom Yamaguchi comes to the rescue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Hunter S. Thompson committed suicide too.
Yes, he did. He did.
Yeah.
And did we talk about it tonight? I can't remember what we talked on this night's show.
I was sort of like in and out eating dinner, so I didn't catch a lot of.
I think Hunter Thompson. I think I mentioned he did commit suicide, and his remains were put in a rocket in a fireworks display, and set up and blew up and everything. And I think Johnny Depp was the head of the whole thing, of the whole process. So.
And your friend Dr. Eugene Schoenfeld was there among the people.
Yes, he was. Yes,
and
he was.
Came back and gave you a report, or he made a report on your program.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
My former shrink.
Your former shrink.
My former shrink. Yeah, he worked as my shrink for a while. So, anyway, so and I just that's about anybody dying recently we should know of. We should start calling you Dr. Doom or the Harbinger.
You call me the Crypt Keeper, which I like.
Yeah, the Crypt Keeper.
I like the Crypt Keeper.
When people die, you do a tweet.
Yeah. I don't think I have really anything really exciting in the last day or so. We had some good ones. I usually go to Wikipedia, to tell you the truth. And Wikipedia usually, there was a NBC newsman, now that I think of it.
He had been an NBC newsman, and then I think he went into private business or something as a consultant or something. I'm trying to remember his name.
Richard Valeriani. Valeriani,
yeah.
Valeriani did a lot of reporting on the civil rights movement. In fact, he got into some kind of confrontation and ended up in the hospital, and he was doing reports from his hospital bed.
So Valeriani is dead.
Yes, he died at 85.
Yeah.
Then we had a couple of rappers I never heard of, both shot in different places on the same day.
Maybe it's I'm getting old. How old are you now, Tom?
I'm 68.
You're 68. You're that old. You look a lot younger than that.
We're about a decade apart.
But there's this show that we watch every day called TMZ.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And I like the TMZ Live because they're kind of funny and they kind of put each other down, and but it's a gossip show, right?
Yeah.
And over on the left-hand side of the screen, they have this whole list of the stories that are coming up. And I don't know any of the people, And I go,
exactly.
Yeah, what is it? I don't know who the people are. I have no idea who they are. So let me turn this air conditioning up a little bit, if this will go up at all. No, I guess it won't. Yeah. I guess it's just too hot tonight. Anyway.
Yeah. And we had another news person, a woman from the reporter for the PBS NewsHour. Let me pull. I lost her name again. But she fell off a bicycle.
She fell off a bicycle and died?
She was in Chicago, and she fell off her bicycle and died.
Oh, really?
But she was in her 60s as well.
Wow.
And, so otherwise, talent manager for Dolly Parton and Joan Rivers named Billy Samuth. He was only 66.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, not too many really exciting ones. But
usually when it's a rapper, they got shot. It's usually what happens when it's a rapper.
Yes. Yes.
The life expectancy of a rapper isn't that long.
No. They die before you even figure out who they are.
Anyway, let me beg and plead now, because this is the begging and pleading part of the program, which is very, very undignified of me to do. But tonight we don't have Patrick calling, we don't have Phil calling, but we sure need you to call. So if you don't know how to call this program, if you've never done it before, you can go over to gabnet.net, and over there on the right-hand side of the page, it'll tell you exactly how you can be a member of the Citizens Panel and do exactly what Tom is doing right now, which is talking to a washed-up radio announcer. So I just noticed that Jeff is coming online, too. Oh. So it's a start. Yeah. Let me see here. So, tomorrow's a big day for me. Why is it a big day, Alex? Well, it's a big day because my iPhone has been running out of battery power faster than usual. Mm-hmm. So I have to go down to the Apple store, to the Genius Bar, which I've found is sorely lacking geniuses. And they are going to replace the battery for me within an hour or something like that. Okay. For $29. It's a new deal that Apple has because they were fucking everybody over by ramping down a lot of the speed on your iPhone because it didn't want to look like your battery was going bad. Right. So because they got into the middle of that scandal to make everybody feel good, if you have the phone I have and it's before the end of the year, you have to do it during 2018. It's only $29 for the new battery. So I'm going to go down and do it. You know.
And so what's your model that you've got right now?
I've got 6S.
Okay, that's the same I've got.
Yeah. Now.
And mine is basically the same thing. It runs out of power. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait till the fall till the new models come out and just get a new one.
Yeah.
So we'll hold out.
How do you buy them? Because I used to just plunk out the $500 and have my 2-year plan and do it that way. Now the new way they want you to do it is you pay like monthly for the use of the phone.
I don't know. I'm on a plan with you remember my friend Karen, the climate change teacher? Yeah, we're on a plan together, and it's something like $40 a month for each of us, and it's through T-Mobile. So we got our phones through T-Mobile, and that's where I expect.
And you don't pay for the phone?
Yes, you do pay for the phone, or at least I do. Yeah.
In advance.
We made payments on it.
You make payments on it.
I paid mine off early.
What?
I actually paid mine off early.
Yeah, but I mean, how much did you have to pay a month to pay it off?
Boy, it's so long ago I forgot, but
it's like $30, $40, something like that.
Maybe it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after a certain while, it does get paid off.
Right. Yeah. So they said
but the only problem is, what you got to do is you got to get the phone insured, because if you lose that phone, or it breaks, or something happens, you cannot get another. You're going to have to pay for that phone. Keep paying for that phone anyway. So if you have it insured, that's taken care of. Hey, Jason, how are you, Jason? It's not
pretty good. How's it going?
It's not Friday. It's Wednesday.
Yeah, I took tomorrow off. Got to make some doctor's appointments and dentist appointments.
Oh, okay. So anyway, you know what? I was going to ask this question. Girlfriend has, we have a 6S, and she has the large ones. That's the large one, right? And the other day, all of a sudden, she noticed her phone, the screen cracked. And it costs $169 to replace the screen, $149 to replace the screen.
Yeah.
But we have insurance. I think the insurance takes care of that, doesn't it?
I don't know. I don't.
Probably.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
My screen's cracked up at the top right side, but it isn't much.
They call this stuff Gorilla Glass. It's not supposed to crack. But Marjorie's was cracked, and her friend who's staying here, hers got cracked. You know. So, but I think that if you have the insurance, I know I pay $8 a month or something for the insurance. Whew. Well,
and
if I lose it, they give me a new one. You know.
Yeah.
Do they? If you lose it, I thought it's just if it's broken.
I know it's for loss and for damage and everything. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I got it. I think I just got it for the sake of getting it. You know, and I think she has it too.
Sucker.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Anyway, give us a call, folks. We're building up a citizens panel slowly here. But thanks to Jason for calling tonight, and thanks to Tom. I'm sad that Phil isn't here today because I wanted to rub in his face the fact that Mr. El Presidente Strongman caved in today. He doesn't make it look like he caved in, but he caved in. Huh?
He's admitted he's a liar. What else is new?
Yeah.
He's a liar.
What are you doing with the pencil?
Oh, because it was the Democrats' fault. He couldn't do anything without the Democrats, right?
Yeah,
but
I guess.
He was able to do something with... What's that?
You know, he said, we're compassionate people. Well, where the fuck was your compassion for the last 4 weeks?
Yeah, when they signed that into a law to separate kids from their fucking parents.
That wasn't That wasn't the nature of the law. What they're using as their argument, the Justice Department, is you break the law, if you go to jail and you have kids, your kids are usually sent to a foster home. Okay? That's the argument.
But I think some people don't understand and realize some of these people who are coming over here and getting their kids ripped away from them went to a legal point of entry into the country and said, you know, I want asylum. Right. And their kids were getting torn away from them. They went to it. They didn't cross the border illegally. They didn't jump some fence. They didn't cross some river. They didn't do anything like that. They went to a legal point of entry and said, I want asylum. And their kids got ripped away from them.
Well, what I love is Trump's description of the fact that if we allow this to happen, and we don't draw a line in the sand here, these people are going to be coming over like crazy. We're going to have millions of people invading this country. And I always called this the Bell the Cat scenario. You know, that there's a cat outside the mouse hole, and if you make me king, I'll bell him. Of course, there is none. But nevertheless, they make him king. And that's what he's doing. He's trying to strike fear into people's minds that if we don't guard those borders, man, all of a sudden they're going to be gigantic amounts of Mexicans coming across, or South Americans. And the fact of the matter was, we weren't defending that border for years, and how many were coming across? Was it millions? Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, and we're used to it.
Yeah, Jeff.
We need it.
I heard that Trump said that he wants that Muslims could be coming over here too.
Oh, I see.
That's just to scare it up a little bit more.
Muslims are scary, boy. You know,
they really are.
Drug cartels aren't as scary as ISIS, are they? Give me a break.
Did you see him hug the flag?
Huh?
Did you see him hug the flag, the American flag?
He humped it. He didn't hug it. He humped it.
Wait a minute. Tell me about this, because I didn't want to.
He kind of went over to it and grabbed it. It's surreal. You got to see it.
He left a stain?
He's twisted.
Did he leave a stain?
Like he walked over and he hugged it. It's like the man's insane.
Why did I didn't see that? Did you see this, Tom?
My mother would go watch it. It was insanity. It was like, why is he hugging? Because my mother's blind to one eye. She says, is he hugging the flag? I says, yeah. I said, Mom, the man is crazy. He's nuts. I think, Alex, you hit it on the head. He's crazy.
Yeah, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, my mother was under the weather, so I've been staying upstairs, so I was kind of tired, too, from going up and down.
Yeah.
But she's doing a little better.
She's doing better? Good.
Yeah, her legs are bothering her.
I heard from Shecky that she had some health problems, and I was hoping that everything was
She gets down a lot now because she can't really walk.
Because I learned with your aunt not to joke about stuff.
I have a funny story to tell you. Want to tell you something quick, what she told me?
What?
And then I'll drop it quick. She goes, she believes in like dreams and stuff. I think she's a little insane, but she says, I think my time's coming because Aunt Fran and Nanny were coming. She says when they come in the dreams, so well, did they say anything? She says, no, but I'm thinking of them. I says, Mom, they're just on your mind. She thinks when she sees dreams that they're coming to take her away. Please do me a favor with this. I thought maybe they give her the numbers. I felt bad for her. I said, what do you want? I thought maybe they came back to say something.
Are you still playing the numbers for her?
I still do 613, but I didn't play tonight. I
613. She's always been going with 613.
I lied to her.
Has she ever won with 613?
Yeah, she actually did. It was her old license plate when she was able to drive. Do you believe she still has a license? I don't know how she has a license still in New York. Well, she's legally blind to one eye, Alex.
Oh boy. Well, yes, Jason.
I'll be right there.
I was totally thinking about playing the lottery today too, because I work for the phone company. My first job and my last job, the phone numbers ended both in, what was it, 5132. Both, how often does that happen? You have two, I did like 5 jobs today, and 2 of them, the last 4 numbers, 5132. I was like, man, I got to play that today.
Yeah, and what happened?
I didn't play it.
Oh, you didn't play it.
I'm not a sucker, but it's such a drain on me, though. It's like, man, I got to play it.
Yeah. By the way, you work for AT&T, right?
I work for a telecommunications company, yes.
That
might have or may not have bought.
That's what I was going to say. That you now are part of HBO.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's not porn. It's HBO.
The other day, what's his name? The guy who does Last Week Tonight, John Oliver, said in one of his bits or something, he made a joke about AT&T and about it being like bad cable service or something like that. And he said, "How's that, huh? They just bought this company, and I'm making fun of them. So be sure to join me on another network next week."
Yeah. Nah, that's not how they work.
No, I mean, this is what's happening. I talked about the other day with the net neutrality thing going out the window. These companies,
and I think that you're a worrywart.
No,
about that kind of stuff.
It's not a matter of being a worrywart. What I'm doing is I'm showing you what the true, real possibility is here. That by having no net neutrality now. Isn't it amazing that each of these cable organizations, Comcast, whatever, are trying to gobble up entertainment like crazy?
But to a point, I agree. But also, I know some of our judicial stuff that we went into court with. We were saying because AT&T doesn't want to sit there and say we're not going to let anybody else broadcast our channels, because they even sat there and said, we'll have a third party sit there and negotiate the price on what we're going to sell these channels for.
Yeah, well,
that's another source of revenue.
But
AT&T bought them because they want the ad revenue. You're not going to get the ad revenue if you're only going to put it on only your service. You got to put it on all services.
Well, wait a minute. There is no ad revenue in HBO. It's subscriber revenue.
HBO.
It's subscriber HBO. Revenue. They have CNN. They have
tons of
headline news. Yeah, headline news. Well, it does okay, but it doesn't do great. They're going to make the biggest money off of HBO now. HBO.
No, they're not, because the ad revenue space, something about what we already have. I don't remember what it was, millions or billions or something like that. It was going to be, we're going from 75 to 750, like billion ad spaces that we're going to be able to sell.
Yeah.
So it's all about the ad revenue that they're going to be able to get from buying them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay. and I'm just saying this for argument's sake, and this is not now, this is down the road, okay? But who is the biggest competitor to HBO? I'd say at this point, no, well, not really. The biggest competitor, the one that they're probably afraid of and doing everything they can to stave off, is Netflix. Now, okay, so now you own cable companies across the country. You own carriage, and now there's no net neutrality, and you say, Netflix is my competitor. How do I put an arrow in their foot? Well, maybe we just don't carry them, or we slow the service down, or we charge them more for being on our system. That's what my fear is. And it may not happen tomorrow, and it may not happen 2 years from now. But if you look at the landscape, say 5 years from now, a lot of this might be a distinct possibility.
But see, and that's where I think it's kind of bullshit, because what I think AT&T is already going to do is say, if you buy our service, we'll give you HBO for free. So that's going to encourage you to go with their internet, go with their this or that, and they're going to sit there and still sell what they would sell it for before to Comcast or Spectrum or whoever else.
Wasn't AT&T
but
already?
If you were to decide to get AT&T, you'd get it for free.
Wasn't AT&T already giving away HBO as part of their package, or
No.
if you started subscribing with them? No.
They had something. I think if you bought their unlimited data, I think they gave you HBO for free.
Yeah, that was it.
But just like Comcast right now is giving away Netflix for free for the first year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all about incentives in order to buy my product. I'll give you my product, or I'll give you this if you buy my product.
Jeff?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, which is all these deals are based on the first year.
Yeah.
And the second year, nobody tells you what the second year might cost you.
Oh, yeah, that's Jack.
Well, with Fios, I know what my first 2 years are. Okay.
2 years.
And the one thing I can do with Fios is, if all of a sudden at the end of 2 years they want to jack up my rates by, say, a third or something like that, I'll just say, okay, well, I'll go over to Spectrum, and they'll probably just say, okay, we'll keep things the way they are,
And that's what I'm telling you, coming in the near future, you're looking at, I think, at a lot of hardwired stuff. And it's not going to be hardwired stuff. In the near future, I think you're going to be dealing with a lot of cellular data, and the price on it is going to come down, and the quality of it is going to go up. So there's going to be a lot more competition, and I think that's where some of these larger companies are looking at right now. Is it's going to be a lot more larger competition. So you got to do what you can do in order to offer a better product for your customer, in order to give them better service.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
and you were talking the other day. You were talking about becoming monopolies. How is an internet company buying, a broadcast company? They're two separate things. It's not a monopoly.
Yeah. Oh, Tom, turn on a light somewhere. You're like in the dark now. The sun is going down.
He looks like he's in a Vietnam concentration camp.
Yeah. No, he looks like a poor Mexican kid, who's in. We'll give you a thermal.
That's me.
We'll give you a thermal blanket, and it'll look fine. You'll look terrific. There we go. Now we can see him. No, all I'm saying is, all these things are possible that I'm talking about, Jason. Whether it will happen immediately or whether it will happen at all, I don't know. But we certainly have allowed we've done the Pandora's box thing and opened up the evils of the world to come flying out and bite us in the ass.
You know what I'm scared of, Alex?
What?
I'm afraid that everything is going to be a la carte, where all the networks.
Well, that is the thing that's really something to look forward to. What happens is you have Netflix now. Netflix went out and they bought up a lot of Disney product and stuff and were running it. But they're not going to be able to have it, and they're not going to be able to have the Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies in about another year, because Disney's starting their own pay channel.
And I think that's where they're going to screw themselves. At least you can make some money if you sell it to the other, broadcasters or whatever who's going to put your stuff out there. You can make some money off it that way. If you sit there and say, no, you can't air my product, you lost that revenue.
You know something? And I have to remember this because this goes back a long way. But I remember there was a time when HBO started that they were owned by Time Life, and they were told that they had to divest themselves of owning any production companies. I'm trying to remember what the story was, but the cable companies could not own the product. What are the words I'm looking for? Could not own the nature of the product. In other words, they couldn't own. If you were a cable company, you couldn't own a movie company. Okay,
okay.
Because you would then be producing movies, and you wouldn't be. But now that seems to be the order of the day. They've gone wild, you know. In fact,
well, that would just be like saying if you're a car company, you can't own a steel company. Is that right to be able to do or no?
Say that again.
If you're an auto manufacturer, you can't own a steel company that you're buying your parts from.
Jeff,
that are made of steel.
Jeff has an answer on that. Oh, turn on your microphone, Jeff. Yeah.
Ford always produced their own steel
from day one. River Rouge.
Yeah.
Dearborn, Michigan.
Okay.
So I assume they're still doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember what the thing was that they made the cable companies do, and said you can't. There was a big suit by a movie company against the cable outfit, saying, you know, you're not taking my movies because you're running your own that you've made, and blah 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 blah. And they made some ruling about that, but that seems to have gone by the wayside now. I'm saying,
and I agree to a point. Like, you know, if AT&T buys Time Warner and says nobody else can show anything of Time Warner, you know, yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. But right at the same time where they were arguing with the Justice Department about it, they're saying, you know, we'll have a third party, you know, person in there to sit there and, you know, set the rates to Comcast or Spectrum or whoever else that will sell our, you know,
I feel very deficient right now, because this case was a big one with HBO and Time Life, who owned HBO, and the fact that they had to make sure that they weren't going to be doing certain things. And I can't remember what it was, but it had to do with this kind of thing, which, of course, now, hey, AT&T can say if they want to, well, we're just not. If Netflix wants to be on AT&T, since they amount to 60% of the evening bandwidth, which they do in the United States, we want them to pay more. You know, but of course HBO doesn't have to pay anything because we own HBO. So that then becomes a real, you know, question of antitrust, I would think, you know, if that sort of thing happens. But who knows?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when HBO first came out, we never had cable in Queens, but we were able to get HBO. We had to put a tripod. HBO came and put a tripod on the roof that pointed to the Empire State Building. And when we had HBO, I was like, oh my God, I would do it like I watch rock. It was like the best thing ever. I would get the little book in the mail. You were like, what was out for that month? It was like fantastic.
Do you know where it started? Cable, the first HBO started. The first place.
Was that James Dolan's father, Alex?
No.
Cable?
No. HBO was always owned by Time Incorporated. Okay, but they started the service, I think, in Reading, Pennsylvania, as a test.
Really?
And I remember the second place they came was New York, and I was one of the first subscribers to HBO.
Oh, you had it on cable in the city?
Yep. Oh,
you see, we never had cable.
We only had 13. We had 26 channels on our cable box.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
26 channels, and yeah, that was a lot. That we were living big time. Everything after 13, it went from 2 to 13, and then it went A, B, C, D, blah 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 blah. And HBO, I can't remember. Maybe it was Channel H. I don't know.
So you had been having cable. That was like a treat. But yeah, you were living large. I was dying for cable.
Well, what happened was that the guys who came to my door and sold me cable was the guy, and I'm trying to remember his name right now. My mind is really fucked tonight. I don't know why, but
because you're old.
You remember?
Oh, shut the fuck.
I gotta write stuff down there.
All right.
Sure.
I'll remember his name. If I can remember the nickname, I can remember his name. But anyway, he became David Letterman's producer of the David Letterman show. And he and a guy by the name of Stu Smiley, who became the head of Showtime, came to my door selling me cable.
That's fucking funny.
And I met up with him,
do you get free installation?
And he said, in those days, he said, I want to thank you. And I said, for what? He said, most of the boxes we sold to people in those days was because of Midnight Blue.
Wow, you said people wanted to watch.
You know, and you made me a lot of money in those days. Not as much as I'm making with Dave now, but, you know.
But still.
Yes, what were you going to say, Jason?
So, sidetracked because you said David Letterman.
Yeah.
And I was watching on Netflix his interview that he did with Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And he was talking about people who influenced him in radio.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned somebody, I forget, Bob something.
Bob Grant.
And out in New York, he was conservative. And he was like, screw you, you're too young, you don't know what you're talking about, and hung up on him. And
when he's
to
been
me, it kind of sounded like you describing yourself and stuff that you played. Was he like that too, or was he basically quoting you?
What I've heard him tell people is that the two people who influenced him the most in radio, and you see, I mean, the motherfucker can't even do it when Letterman's interviewing him, was Bob Grant and me. And so he only mentioned Bob Grant, right?
But he said that he was a conservative
talk show
host.
He was. Right.
Who, would say, you're too young, you don't know what you're talking about, screw you, and hung up on him.
Well,
and that sounded to me how you were doing the good guys and motherfuckers or whatever.
Yeah, no, but he did listen to me, and he is quoted in one book as me being one of his influences along with Bob Grant.
But I'm saying, did Bob Grant, was he like that too, or no?
Bob was it's very strange. Bob was a friend of mine. We worked at WMCA together in the old days. And he would do the show after mine, and he was kind of conservative, but, you didn't really think of it in terms of conservative versus liberal. It wasn't that kind of thing. But you had different political opinions. And we would do our crossover between the shows, yelling and screaming at each other and calling each other out and things like that. And of course, off the air, we liked each other. We enjoyed each other's company. In fact, towards the end of his life, I appeared on his show at WOR. No, I didn't appear on his show. I met up with him at WOR, and he was so happy to see me. But he was a conservative talk show host, and he was in your face. He was that kind, right? And of course, I'm the hippy dippy weatherman with my little, with my long hair and my demeanor of peace and love, and it was two different things. But no, boy, I can't even speak the English language tonight. I'm having a stroke. I think that's what it is. Yes, Tom.
Well, you mentioned Joe Pine in
Joe Pine. I accidentally said Joe Pine. I meant Bob Grant.
Yeah, but I mean Bob Grant. Joe Pine opened the way for Bob Grant because, as I remember,
yes,
Bob Grant actually started in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yeah. So
did Bob Grant start?
Pine paved the way for him.
Did he start in Los Angeles? I'm trying to remember.
I remember him in Los Angeles.
Because, I mean, the first time I ever met up with him, he came to work at WMCA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I got to know him. And
about the same time Pine was, and that was in the mid-'60s.
Yeah. But, fuck Howard, I mean...
he looks like he had a facelift, too.
Oh,
how much he bitched about people having facelifts and shit.
He said, hey, one more facelift, he's going to have a beard. I mean, he... the trouble with Howard is that he has always denied my influence except to people privately. Okay? There's one guy I know who's a very important consultant, and he was working with Howard, and Howard told him that I was a major influence on him.
So why would you think that is?
And then when I was out of work at Sirius, I tried to get a job on Howard's, have my show moved over to Howard's stations, which he ran, and he wouldn't give me the time of day. You know, so fuck him. Fuck him. Yeah. He stole my act. Okay, I'll say that right now. In fact, it's funny. I had two different acts. I did this thing called Midnight Blue, which was a sex show on cable, and then I did my radio show. And what he did is, I never thought combine the radio show with the sex show, and that's exactly what he did. You know, so I just, you know, I wish I could have a lot of respect for him, but I don't. You know, and the only interview of Letterman's I haven't watched is the one he did with Howard.
It was actually pretty good because they actually did talk about like mental, you know, health and having anxiety and stuff like that, and I thought it was actually a pretty decent interview.
Yeah, I like the one he did with Jay-Z. I
was good.
I thought that was completely out of Letterman's wheelhouse, and he did a really good job of it. So, you know, I'm trying to remember who his producer was. Boy, I just found the name. Bob Morton. Morty, as we used to call him. And Morty came to my door with Stu Smiley, who later became the head of Showtime, or comedy at Showtime. And they sold me cable. That's how they were making a living for a while. And they said it was Midnight Blue and Chinese programming. They could sell cable with Chinese programming, too. They had a Chinese channel, so they go down to Chinatown. They sell a lot of boxes to Chinatown. Yeah. So.
I just remember when we had HBO, it was like, I'll forget, it was the best.
So, I had a piece of news here. Hold on a second. This is you hear about Peter Fonda?
Yeah, I'm going to hear you say, God.
Yeah. The United States Secret Service has been alerted in response to a tweet by actor Peter Fonda, who said Barron Trump, President Trump's youngest son, should be separated from his mother and put in a cage with pedophiles.
Oh my God, he's gone crazy.
No, he's not going crazy. He's making a comment on what's going on with the Mexicans, you know, and with the South Americans. The tweet from Fonda, which has since been deleted, they always delete them. Somehow people feel I can do a tweet, and if it doesn't go over, I'll delete it, and there won't be a problem.
Nobody will know.
Reportedly says we should rip Barron Trump from his mother's arms and put him in a cage with pedophiles and see if mother will stand up against the giant a-hole she's married to. 90 million people in the streets on the same weekend in the country? Fuck. CNN reports First Lady Melania Trump's communications director Stephanie Grisham called the tweet sick and irresponsible. What are they calling what's going on with these kids, right? Adding the Secret Service has been notified. A Secret Service spokesman said the agency is aware of the tweet but declined to comment. Listen, you know, the Secret Service literally has been wasting their time a lot. I just found out, I saw an interview with Kathy Griffin. Now, you remember she held up the bloody head of Donald Trump, you know, and of course, then she was banned from every TV show known to mankind, and she was made a pariah for a certain amount of time. Slowly, she's been making a comeback, so she's doing an interview, and she said that she was being followed by the Secret Service, and she was being listed as a dangerous person to the president. Now, you know, look, I mean, Kathy Griffin's a cunt. There's no question in my mind about it. I've known the woman, and she is, right? But be that as it may, the one thing she isn't is dangerous, you know, to anybody.
That's what we're wasting the taxpayers' money on. They're trailing that.
Huh?
Just like those cars coming in from Canada are a terrorist threat.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Hey, by the way, good going, Canada. Pot is legal in Canada now.
Oh, yeah, they legalized
Yes,
it.
Tom.
Yeah, you actually reminded me of something else that I found amusing in the news. You know, our Homeland Security Secretary Nielsen. Well, anyway, who basically stood up and lied before the press and stood by Trump as he signed the executive order.
Right.
But anyway, it turns out that she went to a Mexican restaurant.
Oh, really?
And a whole bunch of people found out, and they just started heckling her like crazy. I've heard the audio. It's so funny. I mean, talk about justice. Real justice.
Let's see.
I was watching Hannity earlier just for a laugh because he just grates on me. But anyway, Hannity was talking about, where is Hillary Clinton? Where is everybody saying, me too, me too? They can't do that to Christy Nielsen. It's crazy.
There were a lot of people saying that Melania Trump should have gone down and seen the kids, and
Obama should have went, maybe.
I think Obama. Here's what Obama's trying to do, and I understand it. When you're an ex-president, you just don't comment on the current president. And so he's tried to remain kind of not impartial, but just non-judgmental about anything Trump
comments
does.
on him all the time.
I know, and it must be killing him. But he's
kill me.
He's trying to have his dignity. Yes, Tom.
Well, actually, U.S. senators are trying to go down there. They won't let him in. Like Nelson in Florida.
Right.
They're trying to go in and visit these detention centers. And was it ICE or Homeland Security released a memo, on the restrictions. They have to give them 2 weeks notice. They can't talk to the children. They can't. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
Well, I don't understand. Okay, it makes no sense to me why a senator or a congressman can't go into those camps, or why a news person can't go into those camps and see them. If you haven't got anything
because
to hide,
they might expose the injuries that are happening to these kids when they're fucking being ripped away from their parents.
Oh, listen, just that in and of itself is psychologically damaging for these kids.
There was doctors or whatever, some type of doctors association or something that came out and said, you need to stop this because this is physically and mentally damaging people. It's the horrible thing that they were doing. And just sit there and try to blame this on Democrats for, this is their rule that they put in place and blah, blah, blah.
It isn't. No, it is their misinterpretation of the laws that were put into effect. They were never put into effect for that reason.
One person signed something and it suddenly started happening 2 weeks ago
or
whatever.
The laws that were put into place, so far as I've been able to ascertain this thing, because there's so much information running around about it, were laws that, oddly enough, were meant to protect kids from parents who might be criminal. Okay?
That go to jail and prison.
But not some poor, mother with 3 kids who's trying to get across the border because she got a husband back in South America who's beating the shit out of her. And
who came to a legal point of entry into the country and said, I'm seeking asylum.
Right.
That's what people are
so they
not
say,
getting.
okay, but they say, well, you have to be put away until we can...
Because you're a criminal. Because you came here and said
until
you're
we can
seeking
make
asylum,
a determination.
you're a criminal.
Yeah, this is called zero tolerance. It's also called zero compassion. And that has no place in America.
It's not till now. I have really started agreeing that people have been comparing Trump to Hitler. When you start doing stuff like that, I am sorry, I do have to start comparing you to Hitler.
I would say you got a good case there. You got a really good case there. I just call him El Presidente now, and we can say it like it is. I mean, he's just. It's amazing. I didn't think, when he got elected president, I figured, oh, here we go. This is not going to be good. I didn't figure it was going to get this bad.
Yeah.
Okay? I just didn't think it was going to get this bad. It is just, when you see the rest of the world is reacting to these. Theresa May in Parliament today was railing against the United States for what we're doing to these kids. We look terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and I don't care about optics. That never was important to me. But I do think that we had a reputation as being a pretty fair country. And I can't think of anybody, even Bush didn't get us in this bad a situation with the rest of the world. Instead, now the rest of the world are our enemies, for crying out loud. Yes, Tom.
Well, I'm afraid to say that I was actually expecting what we're getting. I knew it was going to happen because he's both incompetent and corrupt, as I've said before. And on top of that, when people were saying, well, he'll change once he gets it. No. He won't change. He hasn't changed. I mean, at his age, he's not going to change. And by the way, Alex, you still think he might be a closet liberal? Remember that was all.
You know something.
Closet liberal. Maybe things will work out real nice when he's elected. Nah.
I think he's politically agnostic.
No,
I don't think
he's politically a fascist.
Well, no, I think he is into the politics of Trump. Anything is good for Trump. He's doing several things. Number one, he's trying to make himself rich while he's in office. That's for starters. Okay. But he also is trying to keep himself out of jail. I think that if Donald Trump hadn't won the presidency, or he didn't win the nomination, didn't run, he'd be in jail by now. He'd be indicted on any number of things. And that this was a way for him to stay out of jail. Does that make sense?
I don't know.
You got this thing with the charitable foundation here going on, which that alone could wind him up and have him wind up in jail. But because he's president of the United States, you can't touch him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if another way of looking at it is he probably wouldn't have called so much attention to himself if he hadn't gotten elected president. So, I mean, just the fact
this whole thing with the charitable contribution thing has been going on for several years that they've been investigating this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, $10,000 went to a portrait of him for Mar-a-Lago, and that's considered a charitable contribution?
Of himself? Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean...
Somebody bought that?
No, he had it painted. Have you seen it?
He had himself painted?
He had it painted, paid $10,000 to have it done, and then put it up at Mar-a-Lago, and it came out of the foundation's money.
Who does?
The foundation, it looks like... It looks like the foundation was a reservoir for money for them. Mm-hmm. They would use, and somebody said, well, actually, the foundation spent more money than it made. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's really bad thievery. I mean, you're really a bad thief if you can't make money off of it. I mean, this is, of course, then again, this is the same guy who could lose money running a casino. When did you ever hear of that happening?
He must be pissed now because now it's legal to bet the sports in Atlantic City, and he has no casino.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you though, what Atlantic City didn't count on were like all the Indian casinos that started coming up.
Yeah, they're nice.
So that every state now has casinos. You have casinos in Texas, don't you, Scott?
No, we do not.
Really?
No.
What
happened down there?
They have some racetracks, but I think that went belly up too. But I'm not sure.
But you don't have any Indians down there, or claing that their lands they can do what they want.
We killed all the Indians.
No, they don't have any Indian casinos down there. There's 7-Eleven.
Yeah, we got the dot head type, not the feather type.
Well, we used to say Mumbai, not Wahoo. Yeah.
Dot feather.
Yeah. But it's just I just think that it's I mean, Tom, you expected it to be this bad. I just figured, I believed in America in a certain way that no matter who you put into office, nobody could truly fuck this country enough in 4 years, all right, to ruin it. But I think this guy has been doing it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I don't care if the next president of the United States is God, you know, they won't trust America for years to come.
I'm not running next election.
You're not running next election?
No. You said God. So.
Yeah. Oh. Well, the devil ran and won. You know, it's terrible. And I'm glad Phil isn't here, because Phil would go, oh, wah wah wah. You know, you're paranoid about everything. But no, I'm not paranoid about everything. Look what's happening. This guy is fucking us over. And even my stocks are down because of him.
Dude, I've lost, since the beginning of this year, I've lost over $10,000 in my 401k.
Really? I have a 401, I have two things. I have a Vanguard account, and then I have a 401k from SiriusXM. Now, it has done very well, believe it or not.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I started out, I had like 4,000 shares or something that were fully vested to me. And I had to sell some of it off every year because that's part of the rules. But I have about 3,500 shares, and that used to be worth, when I first got it, man, maybe $8,000, and that's worth about $25,000. You know, but the other stock, the Vanguard, has gone down. Not as badly as you would imagine, but it has gone down. Now, I don't know where he thinks that the world is so wonderful right now, and that we're just on top of the world. I mean, the country is financially in good shape, but it has nothing to do with him. Look, Ray is using his cell phone to talk to us. Hello, Ray. Ray? Well, that's what happens when you use a cell phone to call us. Ray? There he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you're there? Where are you? At home?
Here.
Where are you?
I'm walking.
Oh boy, the bandwidth is terrible. Can you move that phone somewhere else?
It says, I'll go outside. Maybe it's better.
Yeah. Could be. Where are you, at home?
Yeah. No, I'm at the gym.
You're at the gym?
Yeah.
You doing 20 minutes on the bike?
I just like 40 minutes, and then I looked on here and I saw Phil wasn't on here, so I had to come on.
now, you do.
I just couldn't help it. I was like, oh God, I can't resist.
So you do 40 minutes on the bike?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go lift some weights.
I
20?
I do 25 minutes.
Oh, okay.
What did you just say, Jason?
Pussy.
What do you mean, pussy? What are you doing on that fucking bike? You're not going anywhere. You know,
that's better than nothing.
It's like I feel like I'm a fucking gerbil, and there's a wheel, and I'm just, you know, and it's going nowhere. But somehow I feel I'm having fun. Right now, I'm not even having fun.
I'm just glad that after all these years, you finally started using the gym membership that you've been paying for to not even go there.
Well, they're losing money now because I pay $15 a month, and I've already gone at least 20 times this month.
For $15 a month, that's cheap.
Oh yeah, but what they count on is who I was for a while. The guy who pays $15 a month forgets I'm paying them $15 a month.
I think they're still counting on the guy you are now, who goes for 20 minutes a day.
No, actually, I go and I do 25 minutes on the cycle. Gee, Jason, why don't you pat me on the back and say, "Good going, old man"? You know.
I will, Alex. It's good because most people don't do shit. So that's good.
Yeah, but I do that, and
hey,
then
I'm not going to pat you on the back. I'm going to be the one to push you to say go more.
Then I spend about 15 minutes on the implements of torture, you know.
Yeah.
And I do a thing for my legs, and because I'm trying to help with the torn meniscus, but it seems to be hurting it rather than helping it. And let's see, what else do? I do a few of these, and I do a few of these, and about 100 of those, of the crunches.
Hey, you know, one thing you should be doing with your torn meniscus, not your torn meniscus, but your sciatica, you know, the one thing, it's not a machine you lift weights on, but you'll sit there and you'll hang by your elbows and hold on to the things.
Oh, yeah.
You can lift your knees up.
Yeah,
So you can kinda
I
hang there
did.
and
I
your
did
leg
that. I
lifts.
did that the other day for a couple of reps because I used to do that a lot.
That's something you should probably be doing a lot right now because it helps build your core muscles
Yeah.
in your back.
Well, you know,
Yeah. Hey, Alex, when I had sciatica really bad years ago,
I don't know if what I. By the way, I don't
things
know if what I have is sciatica. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, well, I got like the trainers used to use them at Cal. They were these heat packs that you put in boiling water and there's sand inside, and you wrap them in a towel and you put it there. Oh my God, it helped. Like it helped my sciatica so much.
Really? Well, I don't know if
you put it up high in your spine, like in your lower back.
You know, I don't know
that's
that.
where it all starts.
I don't know that I have sciatica, but one of the things of sciatica is numb feet. Okay, your feet tingling and so on.
But you don't have pain though.
I don't have pain shooting. I have pain in the feet sometimes,
But
I don't have.
Probably not. Probably not sciatica then.
Well, no, it could be because sciatica it can go directly to the feet and bypass the leg altogether. Yeah. I don't know, but I'm going to a neurologist in a couple of weeks, and
go to a chiropractor.
I'm going to a neurologist first.
Crack your back.
Yeah. Look, you know, I will probably go to a chiropractor as well, and that's only because I then don't want you giving me a bad time, Jason. Because I think
10 years later,
I think chiropractic is full of shit. You know? Yeah.
I go to an upper cervical problem.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. We just lost him. We just lost him.
But like all the other stuff where they just crack your back.
Oh, yeah.
That's just all temporary shit.
Yeah.
I did that for years. Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Except make my back too loose.
Well, you know what I want? You know what I want? This is what I want out of this doctor.
Network.
This neurologist. Drugs. Okay? Drugs.
Oh, he'll give you drugs.
Give me the drugs that will stop the tingling and the hurting in the feet. That's all I care about.
But it won't. It'll just make it kind of disappear.
That's fine. That's fine.
Why do you want to cover the symptom instead of fixing it?
Because I'm not going to fix it with Dr. Crackaback.
You might not be able to fix it.
Yeah.
Alex,
what?
Wait
a minute. Hold on a second. Yes, Ray.
It's just neuropathy. Yeah, he's a little. My dad's a little older than you.
Yeah.
And he has that, and it's just neuropathy in his feet, just from nerve damage from years and years and years of walking.
Yeah. So
it has nothing. There's nothing you can do about it.
And they give him some pills to kind of ease it up, right?
If he wants to take them, yeah. If he would lose weight, it would help too.
Well, I mean, I've lost weight, but
yeah.
I think
it's neuropathy. He just has neuropathy. It has nothing to do with his back, and there's nothing they can really do about it.
Well, I have neuropathy, and I think it could be you can compress a nerve, and it'll do this sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so
everybody's different. You never know.
Right. So I mean, I'm not going to try and figure out what it is now. I'll let this doctor figure it out for me, you know.
Yeah.
And give me, you know, and I will. Yes, I will go to the chiropractor, Dr. Crackaback, when I get a chance, Jason.
When? You've been talking about this for years.
Well, I don't know why.
Let him go to the neuropathy.
Why are you so big on chiropractors?
Because especially if it's sciatica, it's a nerve in your back.
But I don't know that it's sciatica.
Chiropractor can adjust that.
I don't know that it's.
That's actually probably the cheaper and safer way to go.
Instead
of taking poisonous pills that you're putting in your body.
It's not cheaper for me because I have great health insurance that takes care of almost 100% of everything that happens to me,
including a chiropractor.
No.
It includes so many chiropractic visits a year, right?
I have no idea.
I'd go to physical therapy before I went to a chiropractor.
Yeah, I went to physical therapy for my torn meniscus, and they paid for.
And that helped, right?
Yeah, it helped, sure. But you know what I found? I found that it helped, but it didn't get as. It eventually started getting better and better on its own, without me even exercising it. You know.
That's what a meniscus will do. Mine just got worse and worse. I had to have it operated on and cut out.
Well, our old friend Albert Reynoso, when I was working with him at Sirius, he had to take a week off because he had a torn meniscus operated on. and he was walking around limping for quite a while until it got fixed and worked. Mine isn't that bad that they feel they have to operate on it. Here we go, medicine again. Welcome to Alex's waiting room.
So I have kind of an issue too. Like the side of my left calf or thigh is going numb, and I'm going to the doctor tomorrow about it.
What kind of doctor?
My regular family doctor.
You know what he's going to do? He's going to send you to a neurologist.
I'm not taking drugs for it.
He's going to send you to a neurologist.
Oh, they'll either probably say I need an MRI to find out what's wrong, because it's either a pinched nerve in my back, or which maybe I need to go to a chiropractor for.
Oh, maybe you could go to a neurologist and get it fixed once and for all, and get some great drugs.
Yeah, drugs ain't gonna fix it.
Hey, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think that probably whatever it is that's wrong with me, all I want to have it do is make it less of a grief to me, because it happens basically when I lie down, so I'm going to sleep every night. My toes are hurting, so I need to have it taken care of.
Maybe you got a shitty bed.
No, it's not a shitty bed.
I heard it has brown spots on it, so I think it might be a shitty bed.
Yeah. Oh, he was being. Yeah.
It's not. It's not. But
I read that on Facebook actually.
Girlfriend has a chiropractor for me ready to go. I have to go get
has a brown spot on her bed too, right?
What?
So does a girlfriend have a brown spot in her bed?
No.
I thought you were giving her some shit about there's like, oh, you got this brown spot in your bed.
Oh,
that's right, you were.
No, she had a spot on her bed. She always complains about the fact, don't eat anything in this room because you spill stuff, and it goes on. We have a white, not comforter, but
duvet.
Whatever it is, I don't know. It's white. It's white. And she says, because you get food all over, because you drop food, And then I go over and I look at her side of the bed, and there's this big fucking stain there from something that she, And while her farts are lethal, I don't think they put a stain on the bed.
Yeah, they do.
They can.
That's the other thing. Where my marriage is really going bad? She just feels she can fart at will now. All the days of romance, of oops, I shouldn't do that, no. In fact, when she used to fart, she would actually spray orange spray. Now she doesn't even give a shit. I'm surprised she doesn't light a fucking match.
She sprayed orange spray out her ass?
No.
You mean to cover up the smell?
To cover up the smell. Yeah, but now she doesn't even care about that no longer. By the way, I want to tell you the viewership tonight at one point went up higher than it's gone in a long time. So
Fill-free night. Fill-free night.
There's something about it being a fill-free night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just because I'm here.
So
all the ladies want to see me.
So when do you work? You look like you work out regularly, don't you, Jason?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Then how come you look so? Huh?
I gotta go finish my workout, so have fun.
Okay, go back to the hamster wheel.
Yeah, I'm gonna go work on the torture machines for a while.
Oh, you're gonna do the torture machines for a while.
Yeah, torture machines now. Yeah.
Do a couple of reps for me.
I will.
Okay. Ray Renati, ladies and gentlemen, one of the Citizen Panel stars. There he is. There's his his what do they call it? His picture for going in for auditions. Headshot. I can't. I have a complete. I don't know what it is tonight. I cannot put together a coherent sentence. I have no idea what it is. But I think I'm just tired. I didn't get a lot. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night for some reason. And then it's been hot as hell here.
Yeah. The next couple of days, the wind's hot enough. Sunday too.
Yeah.
You guys gonna be getting a cool down? Because we were hot as hell for a while.
Well,
today, I think our high was like 70. That's Detroit.
What's the temperature right now? It's going up. I think it's going down rather. It's at no, it's at 75, which for nighttime is kind of warm here. But it's also it also has a picture of the sun being out. Well, I guess maybe they mean that's tomorrow. It's supposed to rain tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll take my trip to the Genius Bar tomorrow. How offensive is that? A Genius Bar.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me ask you this, Scott. Since you've been quiet tonight, and I want to draw you out. You live in Texas. You live in Plano, Texas. Now the politics down there is pretty much right wing, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I mean,
It's kind of like that, that SG guy that calls in a lot?
Yeah.
That's like my next door neighbor, right?
Really?
I ain't gonna tell you my name. It's SG.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of people. I mean, nice people, but you don't want to go politics with them,
I know that feeling. Because sometimes you just don't want to talk politics with somebody because you will be turned off by what their politics are, and then you judge them by their politics rather
exactly.
than...
I lost one of the best families we'd known for a long time. I made some comment about I don't know. I made a comment and they said, "Ooh, you're for Hillary" or something like that, and it just it was over.
And they don't talk to you anymore.
Well, I don't talk to them, I guess. I don't know. Because they're just, I just can't understand Republicans.
Okay. Let me ask you guys a question. Because there are guys here, and some of us are older, but we can remember when we were younger.
If you can't, I'll remind you.
In the pursuit of sex, if you found out that a date you were going out with, let's say, was a fan of Donald Trump's, would you still keep pursuing the sex with her?
That night, yes.
That's the point I'm making. Jeff, in your day, would you have?
Yes.
See, we're hypocrites. Scott?
No, I would not.
You would not. How about Tom?
You would not.
We have to say someone you were going after because you're of the gay persuasion. Would you, if somebody suddenly, you were hot for them and you were pursuing them, but all of a sudden you found out they thought Trump was the greatest thing since sliced bread, what would you do?
I'm talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. Just no way.
In other words, politics would come before sex.
Definitely.
Yeah. How about you, Tony? Although you've never had sex, so why were we asking you?
Well, if I had to answer the question, I would say, I'll get into Alex's shoes then. I would say if I was Alex, I'm going to take your vote for it then. I would say if I know Alex like I do, he would do it because, like Shecky says, he's had a million girlfriends, so I could see Alex going to bed with her and then kicking her to the curb the next morning.
Well, I actually had something like that happen to me once.
Really? See what I mean? Here we go.
Where I was driving a woman. We were going back to my place for what was going to be a slam dunk fuck. Okay.
That wasn't politics, though.
No, and we're driving down. We're driving down Bowery here in New York, and you know what the Bowery is like.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Especially back in those days, it's guys with endless numbers of rags trying to clean your windshields every time you hit a stop sign. And as we're driving down the street, she's saying, the trouble with these, and she uses the N-word. They're just taking over everywhere. And then she doesn't stop. She's talking about Jews and blacks and things like that. And I know I've got a sure thing if I just get her home, but I've got a sure thing also if I make her just shut the fuck up because I'm not going to be able to get a hard on after this is over with. And finally, we're down at like the worst part of the Bowery with the most bums anywhere. And I said, "Get out of the car." And she said, "What?" I said, "Get the fuck out of the car. You don't talk about people that way." And I opened the door and I shoved her out and I took off and she was there with all the bums. So I know what I would do.
Did she get a taxi?
I have no idea. I never saw her again.
That's funny.
And I went home and jerked off.
And that's going to be a rough area back then.
Huh? Yeah.
That's
it
gonna be
was.
pretty
Oh
rough
yeah.
back
Oh
then.
yeah. Tom?
But see, that's what I'd fuck her. I'd be like, hey, how you like a spick dick in your ass?
Yes, Tom.
And she expressed anti-Semitism. Did she know you're Jewish?
No.
Yeah, did she know you were Jewish?
And she didn't much care. I mean, it was just
say, hey, by the way, I'm Jewish.
Well, no, she
and see, and that's where you could be like, how you like my Jew goo?
Her way of referring to Jews was the word kike, and her way of referring to black people was nigger. Okay, I'll use the word. And I'm just sitting here, they're going, what? You know, I want to get laid. She's good. She was really good looking, too. I said, she's hot. But how much do I want to get laid? You know, I don't want this in my house. You know, it might be bad for the cats. You know.
Good for you, Alex.
What is he doing now?
So I have to say that what I would do probably is out of the car, right?
Wow, you did the right thing. That had to be fun.
Nah, because see, that's where I would have said afterwards, how you like my Jew goo?
How you like my Jew goo? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
All over her face.
Oh, really? Cream. What was it? A paste her like. What was it? Paste her face like a cream donut. I can't even remember jokes tonight.
So, what do you think Phil would have did, Alex, if that was him?
Phil, Phil. I don't think he would. Listen, if he lives in the Bay Area, if he wasn't going to fuck a liberal, he wouldn't be fucking anybody. You know.
He would just had a polite conversation and took them home, and then offered to pay for something. Their dry cleaning to get his own conservative stink off him.
Listen, let me ask you something, everybody. Recently, here in New York, they've reallocated a few channels for more news channels. But the more news channels they have on are like Newsmax and OAC, and it's an overabundance, really, of right-wing news. And the one they just put on was The Blaze, which is Glenn Beck's channel.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I got to say something, and please don't suddenly decide you won't fuck me because of this. But I watched Glenn Beck today, and haven't seen Glenn Beck much in years since he left Fox. And he was doing his radio show. Now, I disagree with the man, and I don't, and his politics aren't as dogmatic as they once were. But, gee, as one broadcaster to another, he's really good. He's really good at what he does. You know, he knows how to talk to a radio audience and communicate with them on one-on-one. And you're watching him do it as a TV show, but he's got microphones there, and you know it's for the radio show that's syndicated that he's doing it. Mm-hmm. And I just hate myself for that. You know, when I say, you know, I hate the guy's politics, but he's really good at what he does. You know, I used to say that about Rush Limbaugh. Mm-hmm. I don't think Rush is as good as he used to be, but in his heyday, I thought he was a terrific broadcaster. Didn't agree with the politics. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of a little akin to would you fuck a woman who was a Trump fan, you know? How do you think of me now? Do you disrespect me for that?
No, I mean, I can see you kicking her out.
No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking talking about Glenn Beck now. Stick with what we're talking about.
I thought you were in the Bowery.
Boy, we got to get you laid. Jason.
First I just have to ask Alex, do your teeth come out?
No.
Oh, well then no, I wouldn't fuck you still after that.
Have you ever gone out with somebody who took their teeth out?
No, I only pray that I can someday.
Years ago, I went out with a woman, and just before we started to have sex, she pulled 2 sets of dentures out of her mouth.
I'd be coming in my pants because I'd be a good gummer.
Really? I'm sorry. It was making me want to vomit, you know, because lying there with this woman and seeing her teeth on the side table. You know, just, it was not, you know. And by the way, you can take the youngest woman in the world, have her remove both, if she has nothing but dentures, remove the dentures, and she looks like an old lady.
She'd be looking hot to me.
Actually, she kind of looks like a blobfish. You know, you've seen a blobfish. Yes, Tom.
Getting back to Glenn Beck, I don't listen to him, but he has come out against Trump, which is good. Is he when you were listening to him? Did he spend a lot of time about Trump? Was it anything?
No, the thing that I saw today that he was doing, he was talking about, he saw something on, I can't remember what TV network he was watching at the time, and there was a right winger on the show, and there was a left winger from some liberal cause on it, and he was just talking about how it was all predictable what either one was going to say, you know. Well, and he did this whole parody of it, and I kind of felt I couldn't get a good sense of where his politics were at this point, you know. He didn't come up with any stuff about Trump, but I might watch him another day tomorrow or something and see if he does. Yeah.
I actually remember something else. Years ago in The Daily Show, Jon Stewart did a really brilliant impression of Glenn Beck. It was just, he actually spent the whole show doing Glenn Beck. It was hysterical.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a big blackboard and the whole thing, which is what Beck used to do. No, Beck, I can't remember exactly what he did, but he recanted a lot of stuff recently. Said he was ashamed of some of the things he had said over the years, and that he was trying to atone for that. He does all the shows out of Texas, Scott. He's up in Dallas.
Actually, one of my daughter's friends used to work with him as an intern in wherever he was broadcasting out of.
Yeah.
And now this friend is an executive assistant at Fox News. So
yeah.
She I don't know why my daughter's friends with her, but they like each other.
Well, he seemed to have changed his act a little bit. But the thing that I was impressed by, there are a couple of things I was impressed by. Number one, the way he would sit there and communicate with the audience, which was very personal. I mean, it sucked me in, okay? And I'm a hard guy to suck in on something like that. And then he also did live pitches, live commercial pitches for products. And they were just so well done that I was in awe of him as one performer looking at another performer working and saying, hey, you know, that guy plays a great violin, you know. That's really how I was looking at it. It wasn't a matter of the content of the program, but rather his ability as a skilled communicator. And I was amazed. I hated myself afterwards, of course. But I promise I will never listen to him again. Okay. Yeah. But you know, I just think that we're living in times that are, you know, they say may you be cursed by living in interesting times. Well, we're being cursed because it's far too interesting and boring at the same time. I can't tell you. Again, people are going to go, "Oh, Alex, what are you turning right wing on us?" I can't tell you how tired I am of watching MSNBC. You know, it is the same thing over and over again. Am I right, Scott? You seem to be agreeing with me.
Well, that's why I watch Hannity once in a while, just to get off a different topic.
Yeah, but the trouble is, you go over there and it's just as predictable. That's the point I'm making. You know,
it's always about Hillary's emails still.
Oh yeah,
with her emails.
Benghazi.
Benghazi. Yeah, yes, Tom.
Deep state.
As I said, I stopped watching all these cable networks almost a decade ago because they were so predictable. What really annoys me about MSNBC is the fact that, well, when Fox came in, they came in with the premise that the news media, that the media is biased liberal. Okay, And so they were going to offer themselves as the conservative alternative. They were going to be biased conservative to balance out the biased liberal. So what does MSNBC do? It says, oh, we're coming out, we're going to be biased liberal. Therefore, basically confirming just sort of like confirming the premise that Fox News has, is that all news has a bias.
What these news outfits are doing is they're playing to people. People can go to these various networks depending on their opinion and have their views validated. That's all it is. You know, so if you're a right winger, you go over and watch Fox, and you're ensconced in this world that agrees with you. And if you're a left winger, you go over to MSNBC, and you're ensconced in this world that agrees with you. I really wish I could go somewhere. CNN gets a little closer to the mark, but not enough. Where I feel I'm getting challenged maybe about my opinions, you know, or I'm hearing everybody talk about it. There's a left winger, there's a right winger, and a nice even balance in the discussion. Or why do we even have to have these fucking pundits on anyway? Who are they?
Exactly.
Whoever made them. I've been on those shows as a pundit. I don't know shit.
And that's why I started GabNet.
I used to be on. Who's the guy that comes on before Hannity? Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson.
I was on Tucker Carlson's show every Friday with another guy, with a right wing guy, and we would sit there arguing for about 5 minutes, and we were a weekly segment on the show. Mm-hmm. You know, so I was a pundit. Fuck me, I didn't know shit either. Yeah.
Right.
That's the way I feel, and I'm sticking with it. Okay, you know. But in this day and age, it'd be nice if we had a nice, you know, someplace you could go and hear an interesting news discussion. And instead, when I'm at MSNBC, hour after hour, it's the same story. You know, I mean, if I see one more, I mean, I'm so sorry for these children, and what we're doing to them is just abysmal. But every hour, do I have to see that same little kid standing there crying? You know? I mean, can't you show me something else? Or can't you make a better argument than that? Than playing on our heartstrings?
Well, there's only like 2,500 of these kids that are in these prisons.
Well, the thing is that I think that it's important that we make people want to feel sorry for these kids without having to play the, what can we call it, the... show the little kid crying card, you know, that we immediately
soundbite of the same kid.
No, but we viscerally will respond to the fact that kids are being jailed, okay, and that we don't need to constantly play on people's heartstrings. They should be there automatically. And what we're doing is we're also
but look at
divesting.
Today, Trump signed something to stop doing what he started doing.
And we're supposed to.
When he said the only way that you could stop doing it is to get the Democrats to pass something, because they're the ones who started it.
But we're also supposed to think now that Trump is terrific.
No,
you know,
I think anybody with a half a brain can realize, you know, he did this, and it's something he started, and he finally realized it's something that he could stop doing, and it was the wrong thing to do, so he stopped finally doing it.
I love it when they do
stories. And I will applaud.
I love it when they do stories on the news about. And now our person of the day, and here's so-and-so helped his community by doing this, that, or the other thing, and they make a big deal out of it. And I'm going, we shouldn't praise that. That should be the way everybody should be. You know, the exception should be the guy who doesn't. You know, and instead and so-and-so saved this little kid from blah, blah. No, we should all have a morality that says we will not stand for this kind of shit. And to try and pull on heartstrings is trying to get a phony response out of people. Am I making sense? Or am I just...
Yeah.
I've lost all my sense of communication. I'll let Glenn Beck come in here and you tell him. Anyway, go ahead. Jeff?
I'm very skeptic of any of these things that I see on TV these days.
Yeah.
About, you know, it's there's one little kid crying all the time.
Well, you know,
it's not that it bothers me that there's maybe 100 of them. Well, maybe there's 200. I don't know.
2,000,
We don't
2,500.
know.
2,500.
2,500. But here's the thing. Well, are these networks not in a way exploiting these kids for ratings, for advertising dollars, and so on? They're not saying that. Oh no, we're down here because we care. But why do they care? Why did the network send them down there? So they could
Alex,
get more
if you don't
advertising.
broadcast it, if you're not exploiting it to a point, how are you going to make people aware of it?
Well,
if you're not aware of it, you're not going to care. Just like it is in Germany.
To begin with,
you know, they say that the Germans weren't aware of what they were doing to the Jews.
Let me ask you a quick question here. What value is there for Lester Holt to go down there and do his show from there when he could talk to a reporter on the scene?
That's kind of two different things.
No, it isn't
You're
two
saying
different.
the host of the show going to do it instead of broadcasting.
There's a tendency. There's a small thin line between exploitation and helping people, and I think we've gone beyond helping the situation. I think it's great that America has responded to this. Okay, and that's what's so important. That's what gives me hope in this country. Every time I'm depressed about Trump, the hope I have is that maybe people are good. The depressing part of it is, do you think Trump could get reelected?
Yeah.
And my answer,
the sad thing is yes to both.
And the answer is probably yes. And that's that. So what did America learn? Okay, you know. Nobody wanted to be the bad person who wanted the little kids to be locked up. On the other hand, nobody wanted to be the person that was going to make the first step towards getting them out of there. So I get very disappointed whenever I see all this stuff. So what have we learned here today? Well, we've learned that guys are dogs, okay? That they will keep their mouth shut politically if they think they can get laid. Except for Tom. Tom's true to himself. You know.
And what about Scott?
Scott?
Yeah.
No, Scott said you said you wouldn't, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, then we
Yeah,
learned.
Scott's a dog.
He
wants to get laid.
We learned. Nah, he's been married too long. She has his testicles in a drawer somewhere. Right, Scott?
Why even bother anymore? Yeah.
It went from the purse to the drawer.
Well, I'm glad that I'm too old to really be in the dating pool because at least I've gotten my dignity back, you know. Anyway, let me start the theme here so we can wrap this whole thing up. Hey, you know something? We've had a lot of people watching this tonight. I'm amazed by it.
I told you because I'm here.
Because you're here, or maybe somebody isn't. I don't know. You know.
Who's not here?
Huh?
Who's not here?
Dave's not here.
I don't.
Dave's not here.
Dave's not here.
Who's the secret square? Yeah, right. I always used to love that on Hollywood Squares when you would point up at all these people up there and go, "Okay, pick a star," and not one player ever said, "Well, if you put one up there, I will." You know, because I don't consider Charlie Weaver a star. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Hey, thank you so much, Jason. You got out tonight. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good time at the doctor's and the dentist and all the things you got to do tomorrow. Thank you, Jeff, for being with us this evening. Scott, as always, a pleasure. Tom, you too. I love it when we have you on. And Tony, and maybe you guys will go over and say hello to Jack Bishop, who's next with The Intersection. Give everybody a big wave goodbye so that we can say goodbye. Just wave. Yeah, that's it. You know how to do that. Okay, that proves they're still alive. Wait a minute, I'm trying to get to my picture. Thank you, everybody. Anyway, that's our citizens panel for tonight. Jack Bishop is next with The Intersection at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's Connections with the people down in Florida, and it's a good little show. I hope you'll listen to it. And then we'll be back here right after Damien and the Exchange at 9:30. We'll be back here at 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.